All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we got the one, the only, the legendary Mike Handz of the Def Squad right here, right now on the line. How are you doing this evening?
Everything good. How y'all doing out there? Love is
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Just trying to stay positive and trying to stay alive for the last little bit of 2020.
there. Like we at the tail end right now. I'm just staying quiet and focused, trying to get across this line.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I think after all this is done, I might get some T-shirts made and actually say, if I survive 20, if you survive 2020, you can survive anything.
Yeah, absolutely. 2020 is like the new New York. They say if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. So 2020, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
And I gotta ask you, Mike, like taking you back to the beginning, like what actually made you decide to get into the music industry initially?
Well, what's funny is I started off at the, so I've been singing all my life. Um, by the sixth, seventh grade, we got a record deal with a boy group, Visions that I was in. So that's when I started first experiencing, music directors and vocal training and choreography and stuff like that. Um, Having a work regimen of music, so getting up on the weekends and having 12-hour vocal training days and then studio days, 4 or 5 hour choreography sessions and talent shows and things like that. So that started in about sixth, seventh grade. Before that, it was school. It was school talent, choirs and things of that nature coming up before that. So it's always been there. Eighth grade, after the group dissolved, a couple of friends of mine, were starting this rap group called Third Dimension, and they were like, "You're going to be in the group." I'm like, "I don't rap, so I'm not sure what y'all talking about." They was like, "Nah, you're going to be in the group." So, shout out to my man Aaron Vera and my other man Chris Marshall for talking me into even trying to rap. They took me to the house, and it was on Fort Hamilton in Brooklyn. Upstairs were his older brother and his partner, they had a group called Chaos and Mass Confusion, and his older brother was Mass Confusion. Chaos happened to go on to become Babyface Chaos from the Bush Babies. So they're upstairs, rapping for real. We're downstairs sounding completely terrible, but trying to figure it out, but being inspired by them upstairs, and then the journey started from there.
And I have to ask you, man, when you actually performed your first rap, did you actually think that you would actually be as big as you are today, or did you just think, oh man, like I'm not going to go anywhere with this?
Well, all right, I got two answers for that. So the first one is I have no clue how big I am today. So from a humble space, I just keep my head down and I make the records that I like to make and hope that there's a few million people out there that like what I like. I really have yet to take an inventory of quote unquote how big I may or may not be, or how influential I may or may not be. I just know I like being here, and I like, collaborating, and I like traveling and connecting with the people. So for me, it's never been about a plaque, a Grammy, or an award. Every time somebody connects with me and considers themselves a fan, I feel like I got an award. You know what I mean? So that's that part of it. I never set out to do anything I don't think I can do. So I did 25 years in fashion, 20 years plus, just shy of 25. I never didn't I would become a designer, a professional designer. I never did think that. I knew that when I decided I was going to do that's exactly what I was going to be. When I started music, it was the same thing. It was never an if scenario. It was just a when. I didn't know when, but I definitely knew I would.
And also as well, how I first originally discovered you there, Mike, is from you being a part of the Def Squad family. I was wondering, how did you actually get connected with the Def Squad, and of course, how did you meet the other members?
All right, well, to be honest, most of my quote-unquote notoriety came from my original affiliation, which is with my original family, which is the boot camp clique. So when I first started touring and first started really, really finding any success on a professional level internationally and nationally was with boot camp. So my first tour I went out with Smith & Wesson. My second tour, I went out with Sean Price. Then I started touring even to this day, just before COVID, with Rockness. So I tour with Rockness now as part of the Monster Nation Collective. Now, with Def Squad, one of my cousins is actually EPMD's original DJ, which is DJ Diamond, the artist from who were absolutely the legendary X-Men DJs, the Executioners. He went on, after he left EPMD, to become Prince's tour DJ, and then he went on to be Beyonce's tour DJ. But then, in the meantime, that's when everybody with EPMD got introduced to Kayla Boss, and then got introduced to DJ Scratch. But originally it was DJ Diamond. And then he ended up going full circle and becoming EPMD's current DJ again. So in the midst of him transitioning back and me fostering a really, really good business relationship with Eric's sister, Kim Sermon, I was kind of getting brought to the table from a couple of different angles. You know, DJ Diamond is like, hey, have you heard Mike Handz in Flatbush, Brooklyn? Then Kim is like, hey, you got to meet Handz. He's an incredible business guy, great marketing guy, you know, so on and so forth. So eventually one day I'm talking to my cousin on speakerphone, and he's at the studio, and then Eric pops in. It's like on video call. Eric pops into the frame like, hey, yo, Handz, what up? It's E. I'm like, huh? Took me, you know, completely by surprise. And he was like, yo, I got to get with you. When can you come to the studio? I was in the studio in like 2 hours. I was in Long Island, and the rest was history.
That's actually a crazy story, man. I got to say thank you so much for sharing that with us, you know?
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that, Mike.
No, I just said absolutely. Yes, no problem, Sharon. That's why I called.
And when you actually brought up before about Sean Price, as we already know, like, you know, God bless his soul, such a talented individual. I was wondering, like, what was he actually like, but behind the microphone, like, you know, kind of off the camera, like, what was Sean Price like as an individual?
Have you ever seen any of the comedic clips that he puts up?
I most definitely have. Yeah, he's actually freaking hilarious.
That was Sean. Sean was an idiot. He was hilarious. Like, he was really fun to be around because he always had jokes. He always had a really, really good energy with the people that he dealt with. You know what I mean? I can't say the same for everybody because he don't deal with everybody. But for the ones that were blessed enough to get invited into that kitchen that he always puts on video, you know, if you got to sit in the kitchen, you got to see Sean in his totality.
And also, as well, I noticed that you actually took part in the Hell on Earth tour with Smith & Wesson and Mobb Deep, which unfortunately was Prodigy's final tour. I have to ask you, what was that experience like being on tour, especially for Prodigy's last one?
Well, to be honest, I had no clue it was his last tour, right? None of us saw him dying. None of us seen that coming at all, right? I was just, you know, honored and humbled that, you know, Smith & Wesson asked me if I was available to open that run with them. So, you know, I actually got on the tour with my boot camp team. So I was one of the openers for boot camp, you know, for the past 5-6 years prior. So it was like, yeah, I'm available. You know, I'll be there. It is what it is. So that was epic. Like, I actually have footage because in between performing, I documented the entire run. So I have footage of all of our sound checks and, you know, from every night and just all of the shows and outside the shows and just, yeah, you know, I didn't even realize how overwhelming it was until I looked over the footage that I had caught and realized that, wow, there was just such a series of moments, you know, that happened while we were on this run. And we did the run in the car, so we drove, you know, the whole way, all the way up north towards Syracuse in Canada and Niagara, all the way back down towards Poughkeepsie, and then towards Pittsburgh, and then you know, the National in Norfolk, Virginia. So in Richmond, Virginia. So we just were on the road a little while for that.
And with that footage, is it available on the internet for individuals to actually watch, or is this those just in your personal archives?
Nah, I just have it. I actually was contacted by Steele from Smith & Wesson about potentially using some of the footage in the Smith & Wesson documentary that they're working on.
That's actually really cool. I'm not gonna lie, Smith and Wesson most definitely does deserve a documentary, man. You know, a lot of hip hop history just within that group.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, the Shining was back in the 90s. There was the kind of status quo that, especially if you were MC, that you probably had a book bag that had a black and white rhyme book, a pencil or a pen, and a tape and a Walkman in your book bag. And my tape of choice was Smith & Wesson. I had one Smith & Wesson tape, which was the Shining album, and then I had one instrumental tape, which is instrumentals that I had collected from different places and made this little botched instrumental tape to write raps to. And that's all I would listen to.
And also another tour that you happen to take part of. When I saw this, I knew I had to bring it up because these two individuals are crazy people that, you actually went on tour with Method Man and Redman. I have to ask you, what was it like actually being on tour with them? Because, those two are a wild duo.
Yeah, they're awesome too. All right, so the first tour I ever participated in was in 1996 or so, and it was opening for the reggae artist Beanie Man. And him and this other guy named Tonto Metro are such incredible performers that every night when I wasn't on stage, I was sitting off to the side just studying their stage show, just trying to unlock how they do it, because their crowd control and their stage presence was always so incredible. That's the same thing that I recall from the me on the road with Red and Meth for the few cities that I did do, because I didn't do the whole tour. I just did spot dates with them, And I took Rock Ness with me, so me and him did our sets together for that tour, and those are available online. If you go to YouTube, you just put in Mike Handz, Rock Ness, the shows will come up. Man, listen, to watch those guys perform is just like a manual or a notebook on the basics of exactly how the perfect stage show is supposed to look. The coordination, you can tell that there was practice and effort put into the timing, the perfect order of the playlist. DJ Dice, is just as intricate. Just as integral in that whole chemistry as Red and Meth themselves. The three of them together, you will never have felt like you wasted a penny. So being able to be a part of that, and we were the act we go on right before Red and Meth, so you have all the openers, and then it's up to us to have the crowd exactly where they need to be, so that Red and Meth can pick the crowd up running. So it definitely put a lot of pressure on me. I don't think so much on Rock Ness, but on me to really try to deliver a show and leave the crowd with a certain kind of energy that's worthy of Red and Meth. And, it also let me know that I can handle their crowd, Because, of course, everybody that was there to see us all as a whole, but they really were there to see Red and Meth. So it definitely gave me confidence to know that, I could probably turn their crowd into a fan base as well. So, yeah, it was a definite learning experience, and something I would never trade for the world.
And I have to ask you as well, being so far into your career now, if you ever had the opportunity to perform with them again, would you actually do it today if you had the opportunity?
Absolutely. That goes without saying. And now that I'm signed to Def Squad as well, it makes it possibly an even bigger situation, because then that means you can probably get Redman, you can probably get Keith Murray, you can get Eric Sermon, you can get Jamal from Illegal, you can get myself, you can get some of the new artists like the Def Squad Messiah that they have over there, and P-Wise that they have over there. some of the new guys that are ready to come, the gate, and some of the new producers that are ready to drop out the gate, not just Eric Sermon, Ty Fice, and Rockwilder. So, yeah, there's absolutely I would.
And also, aside from the music side of your career, you also did some acting in the series titled Rap Star, and you played, Millie Buck. So I have to ask you, tell us a bit more about that, and of course, how did that role come to be for you?
Well, what was funny is I happened to just see a casting call on Instagram, that they were looking for this character, and they wanted if you were interested, you contacted the link, and then the link gave you a mini script. Like you had 3 characters to work from, and he called the mini snapshots of the script is called sides. So you had 3 different sets of sides that apply to 3 different characters, and the character you chose, you would have to enact the scene almost like a monologue and send the tape. So considering, I'm a director and cinematographer myself, like, I direct and shoot music videos as well. So it's like, you know what? I just set the cameras up and I literally shot the whole scene and had my son reading the counter lines, and I just ran through the scene, and then I submitted the tape, and they were impressed not only with the way I delivered it, but they were impressed with the packaging of the tape. So they understood. I understood camera placement and composition and timing and stuff like that, not just reading the line. And Craze, the content king, a.k.a. James Billings, reached out to me and told me the part was mine if I wanted it, and the rest was history. What was so unique about that, though, is halfway through filming season 1, my mom got diagnosed with cancer, and she deteriorated really fast. So when I wasn't on set, I was in the hospital with her in between shooting. She was actually with me the day that they called me and told me that I got the part. I was in her hospital room and stepped out in the hallway. So she got to, be here for the whole first part of that journey, but she wasn't here to see it finished. Update on Rap Star. A press release just came out. They just got a distribution deal through Sony. So Rap Star will be coming to a platform in 2021, so the world will get to see it for real, not just on YouTube.
And that's really good, because Sony's a huge platform, so that sounds like it's going to be distributed worldwide. But I do want to say my sincere condolences to you and your family pertaining to your mother.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that was 2007 was really rough. That was also the year that I was, diagnosed with kidney failure. So I had been diagnosed with kidney disease in 2008, but I was diagnosed with failure in 2007. That's when I hit stage 4, which was about 2 months after she hit stage 4 cancer. So thank God I had my mother for the impact of when that information came in, and I had to get my mind in the game. She was there to help do what mothers do. But by the time I started the journey, she had passed on, and I kind of had to take that truth by myself for just my family. So, my family, my children, my grandchildren, their mom and stuff.
And I have to say as well, like when I was growing up, a fan of yours and whatnot, and around that time, I remember seeing that in the news, and I'm just so happy and glad that you're still here with us today, and that you received a new kidney, man. Like, you were such a talented artist, man. I'm glad you're still here.
Thank you so much, brother. Like, I can't even begin to tell that whole story, but when I say that woman loves me, that woman loves me. She got on the table and she gave her kidney away to someone so that someone else would trade me a kidney to make sure that I got one. And I can't think of many people on this planet that have loved me that way. Because to get on the table to do a major surgery when you have nothing wrong with you, that's huge to me. Like, I've had surgeries my whole life, so I'm used to that operating table, that cold steel table, that blue tarp, those white lights over your head, the anesthesiologist over your head while you're looking at the other doctor's prep. And I'm used to all of that. I've been through countless surgeries through my life, but when you have someone who's never had a major surgery in their life go under that kind of anesthesia and get up on that table and deal with that kind of recovery just so that you have a shot at staying here, there's not enough thank yous in the world.
And also, I noticed as well that you were actually a designer for Pepsi clothing. You were actually for Kellogg's apparel and Hershey's apparel. I have to ask you, what was it like working for those big designer companies?
Oh man, that was the time in my life that I wouldn't trade. So I started off as a model first. So that was my first foray into the fashion industries, period. So I started schooling for fashion in the ninth grade. I went to fashion industries high school. So that was my crash course. My mom was a designer before me. So I was kind of familiar. I figured that was the road of least resistance. I already was familiar with fashion. So, hey, let's try this. That's like, someone of Spanish heritage taking Spanish as a second language in school. It's kind of a cheat. So I'm like, okay, this should be easy. So I got into it. I had no clue I would develop a passion for it because I drew, but I wanted to be a comic book artist. I had never thought about clothing. Um, Fast forward, get out of school, start working for, I'm modeling, I'm all over the place, billboards, buses, and stuff like that. Doing fashion shows from, New York City, the NY Fashion Week in Bryant Park, the Mercedes-Benz show, to Milan, Italy, and Paris and Vegas. I'm doing all the shows. So I had already started meeting a lot of the designers in the industry, but I was meeting them as a model. I wasn't meeting them as a designer. Then one company that I started modeling for, which was Sabre Mochaccino Group, who went on to become my mentor, Sabre Mochaccino, found out that I had a design background, so he gave me a shot at being a men's designer for his design house, Mochaccino. So I did that for a few years, and then when he seen my ambition growing, and he felt my talent was at a certain level, he had a friend at Sean John named PJ who was looking for an intern designer. So he walked me up there, took me up to the place, introduced me to PJ, and that's when I started working at Sean John. And then the rest was history. I've been on 7th Avenue from that day on, working at Sean John, Cross Color, Park, Nye, Azure, Mecca, PRB Nation. I bounced around. I freelanced for, Rockaware and so many other companies throughout the years, but I definitely was the head designer at Pepsi. I'm co-owner at Intellect Premium Denim. I'm the co-owner currently at Sneakerhead NYC. I'm also one of the co-owners at Emerald City and the sole owner at Sumo Apparel. And, Pepsi was incredible. Working for Pepsi just, as a whole, not just the apparel line, but just being a part of an all-American brand. And at the time, I was like 26 years old. And being a part of this huge, huge brand that has all the marketing power in the world, all I had to do was get the designs right, was awesome. Never been so easy. And, working at Hershey's and being responsible, being the designer responsible for them closing the deal with Hershey's, which came with so many subsidiary brands like, Hershey's, and you have Jolly Rancher, and then you had the Cool Breeze, the Winter Breeze, and all these different subsidiary brands that we got to work with that are all under the Pepsi name, Then I went on, I did some stuff with Kellogg, so, working with these legendary characters, like they would give me access to these archives of Snap, Crackle, and Pop, or Dick 'em Smack, or Toucan Sam. All of this artwork that's, for a kid that wanted to be a comic artist growing up, this was amazing, So, yeah, it was fun. Licensing apparel is so much fun because you get to work with brands you already know and love and translate them into wearable apparel. So it was awesome.
And also, aside from designing clothes, I also noticed as well that you actually did some album design work for Seneca the Misfit. I have to ask you, how did yourself and Seneca get connected, man? Because he is such a talented young individual.
That's hilarious. I did poetic, the poetic album covers 1 and 2. I did both covers for him. And I did a couple other pieces. Like he did a piece with another artist, St. Ivan, and Seneca did a single. I did the cover work for that too. I happen to be in a collective called the Animal Gang, and Seneca is also a member of the collective. So we kind of have a Wu-Tang type format because it's like 9 of us, maybe 10. There's Jamil Honesty, myself, Freddy Krueger, um, Seneca, Don Street, Chaos, the MC from California, Jigsaw. It's a hefty, unreal. There's a hefty amount of us in that team. All incredible MCs, every one of them. Like, I'm proud to say I'm the weakest link, and each one of them would say the same thing. You know, we're all fans of each other. That's how we ended up becoming a collective. So Seneca was my partner in that group. So that's how we really forged our relationship. So salute Seneca the Misfit and TJ Dark Trader.
And also, you sent me an unreleased song to our email, actually, hours before this interview. And the song's called Ain't Hard to Find. I was wondering, before our listeners get the opportunity to hear this, before anybody else, can you tell them a little bit more about the track? What can they expect from this song that they're about to hear after this interview?
Well, this song encapsulates my excitement to be part of Death Squad. Like, when I first had access to the Death Squad studios, and I first got my first flash drive full of beats from all of the Death Squad producers, and the first set of beats that I came across that jumped out at me, and it was like, I gotta write to this right now. Happened to be produced by one of the producers named Thickness, that's on the Death Squad roster of producers, and this is one of the first three records that I wrote and recorded as a Death Squad artist. So it's all of that energy, from just the pride of being a part of the team, the excitement to create some stuff that I can run back to Eric's studio and play for him. This is one of the first records that Eric approved that I had done. So, you know, it's that. You know, it's just not hard to find. And if you listen to the chorus or the hook, you'll really realize that, you know, the come up ain't hard to find. And I believe that when you actually, did I ever, you know, doubt that I could be what I am? No, the come up's not hard to find. And if you really pay attention, all the answers are just in between the lines. So just watch life and look at the small things in between the major things, and you'll really unlock what's going on for you. That's pretty much where my head is at. And, you know, looking at Death Squad through different lenses, saying that, wow, you know, I didn't see this coming. This time last year, I was just independently doing my own thing with the support of my boot camp family. But, you know, boot camp is my family. That's not my label. You know, I didn't have an imprint. I didn't have a label that accounted for me. I had friends that accounted for me and made me family, but I didn't have a label. So when Death Squad reached out and opted to co-sign and take credit for me and account for me, you know, yeah, that was, it was a prideful feeling. The first time Eric said, all right, now let's come in the booth because you got to get a picture up on social media to let them know what it is, or when the Validated magazine interview that I did, Eric and Rock Wilder and Top Fife actually opted to do the cover with me, and that was our introduction to tell the world that I was, you know, Death Squad now. So it was all that energy on that song.
And I have to ask you there, Mike, what is next for you? Is there anything I missed during this interview? Any new projects that you want to promote while we still have you here live on the Canadian airwaves?
Well, one, salute Big Bob up in Canada, in Toronto. Big Bob has Elite Sound International, ESI. I'm actually one of the A&Rs and business managers for ESI down there in the States. And we have so much new music dropping that we've dropped so much music through 2020. We have a Solomon Childs and Shaheen record that just dropped. There's a Mike Handz project coming. There's an AG project coming. There's a Craig G project coming. There's a lot of great work that you can find out there on ESI. And, you know, like I said, me being one of the A&Rs over there, it's important for me to plug that. I have a new album dropping March 12th, which is called Golden Era Timeless, which is produced by Sis McGrath, DJ Lundercover for Sis McGrath. Sis McGrath is the label it's going to drop on out of Paris. So it's a Sis McGrath, you know, Death Squad collabo. I have a new Sean Price record that's unreleased that I did with my team, Whip, out of Paris as well. So that's going to be interesting. There's, what else is there? There is the Blacklist 2 project. So I did Blacklist 1, which was Roger the Daywalker. This is Blacklist 2, King of the Damned, which is produced by Traxman, my brother, in Tampa, Florida, for Black Market LLC. So look forward to that because that project is absolutely done. There's another EP from myself and Napoleon the Legend. It's being mixed and mastered now. There's another EP called Stocks and Bonds that is with my former group member, Chris Noddy. That's finished. So there's a lot of stuff that I've been kind of sitting on, and you should have gotten through 2020, but between COVID and my health, I had to kind of back burner some stuff. So 2021 has come with me fully armed with an arsenal of new material. If I don't start recording again until June, I can still keep up with anybody else because I have an archive of material that hasn't been heard. Plus, the Death Squad album is, halfway finished. So.
And I gotta say as well there, Mike, like, when you actually said one of your albums is dropping on March 12th, that's actually my birthday, so I know that what I'm getting myself for my birthday. I'm buying myself a copy of that record.
Yo, with that said, shoot that to me in an email, please, just a reminder for me, and I'll make sure that you get a full merch package that's my gift to you, a full merch package for the album. So that's the T-shirts, the lighters, the stickers, the posters, anything that we have that's associated with the album. We're actually going to have an exclusive run of vinyl as well. I'll try to get one of those to you as well. So, if you go out and purchase the album, you'll actually have a vinyl that's coming collectible because it's going to be a limited edition. I'm not going to do represses.
I gotta say, man, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, man. But you don't have to do that, man. At the end of the day, I'm a fan. I have no issues paying for my records, man, because I do know that with this day and age, man, streaming fees are nothing. So I always try my best to actually support the artist fully and purchase the records rather than streaming it.
Well, I absolutely appreciate that. That's one. Two, I have to do it because without people that can tell me that they grew up listening or they were the level of fan that you say that you are, without you, there's no me anyway. Without a collective of you, there is no one me. So anytime I can show my appreciation, my most valuable asset is my material and my materials. So anytime I can share that with people that deserve it because they keep me here, and just like even inviting me onto your show, you're giving me a platform and allowing me to continue to exist in my space. All I can do is say thank you the best way I can, and if you value my material, then that's something that's valuable I can share. Now, if you want to support me, go back on the site and grab a hoodie or something of the sort. But this package that's coming, that's from me to you.
I gotta say, Handz, thank you so much for that, man. It's an absolute honor. Just, like I said, being able to grow up listening to an individual like yourself, and then, you offer me that, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you for offering me this, and taking interest enough to have enough research done that, we could have the conversation we had because you surprised me with some of the info that you were very much aware of. I'm like, wow, okay. How there's an honor that most radio personalities. I've had 3 shows over the years myself, and something that I learned being an artist was how to give a great interview. And the best way to do that was always to show an artist that you took interest in him, that you did your research, whether you knew it or not already, but you made sure by the day that you got on there that you knew what you were doing. And that's the biggest, respect that you can show an artist is to really, really have beyond surface information on them.
And I'm gonna be honest, I never actually said this like live on the air before, but how I do everything is I have like a set list of questions. Like obviously I go off the set list and I talk and whatnot, but I have everything in a book, and me and myself and my team, we always do our research and we always write it in a book. That way, say for instance, I interview you again, say in a year or so when you drop a new record, I know to go back through the archives and not ask the same questions again. So, you know what I mean? If we ever do this again, I can tell you it's going to be an interview just like this, but even more questions, because you have such a huge, extensive career that myself and my team, we were sitting back wondering how much can we ask? You know what I mean? So it's like we can't ask everything, of course. But we tried to find the best possible questions to ask this interview.
Now, what's crazy is when I used to do it, I would do something similar, right? But I would also do 50% of the interview based on the responses from the artist. So I may ask them one particular question about how long they've been doing it. They'll tell the story about how long they've been doing it, and they may mention a hot topic in the midst of their answer, and then I'll go ahead and freestyle that question and then add it to my list of questions asked, and then, carry the interview that way. So your tactic is incredible, and I might incorporate some of that in some of my interview style as well.
I gotta say, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the compliment. My goal with this station is to help keep legendary individuals like yourself alive throughout the years, right? I realize people, they really sit back and listen to interviews, and I want your story to be told like decades from now. So I hope, you know what I mean, that this interview can make a positive impact just on your career. You know what I mean?
Well, the fact that when I agreed to do this interview, it was probably around the 28th of November.
Correct, yeah.
Really early in November. But to watch the consistent promotion that happened the entire month leading up to tonight, I knew that I was dealing with somebody that had a respect for this side of the culture. So my whole existence, as a promoter, as a, content creator, as a MC, is to do exactly that. That's why the name of this first album for 2021 is called Golden Era Timeless. Like, that's my aesthetic. I will never change my sound. It will always be me. And there will always be people like me that want to hear that energy, that want to hear that era, that feel of hip-hop. So I can do every version of hip-hop that's evolved over the last 20 years. I choose not to. When I get the itch to do stuff like that, my son Lex King, who's about to drop a project in February, he does a lot of the current energy. So when I want to do that, I'll want to do him. And that's my excuse to do some of the modern stuff. I'm a golden era dude, and I believe that sound and that energy, that aesthetic, and those artists are timeless. And that's where the concept came from.
And when you went back, just going back to when you said about the constant promotion, I'm gonna be honest. I actually run all the social media, so every night before I go to bed, I take all the flyers of the individuals that I'm interviewing and I upload. And that's why there's no flashy like how people put emblems in their stories and whatnot, because I have like literally 50 or something interviews that I promote, and every night before I go to sleep, I just lay there in bed and just roll them all out, and because I want to make sure that people know about individuals like yourself that are coming on my platform.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, I look and I see, I went far back, a couple of my friends, Drez, I seen up there, Mac 10, I seen up there, some of the people that I've met along this journey that I consider friends. So I'm like, okay, cool, yeah. I'm definitely happy to add to this anthology of radio.
And also, Mike, this is the time in the interview, right before I wrap things up there, that I give a chance for the individual that slides into the radio station airwaves. Just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to. And of course, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything like Mike Handz if they're not already doing so. But this is an old school hip hop station, so I really hope y'all are already following the man.
First of all, if you're following me already, I appreciate you. And if you do follow me, then you know how much appreciation I try to show on my platform. Mike Handz on everything. MICHANDZ on everything. You can go to MikeHandz.com, and all the social media links will lead you straight across the platforms. But the easiest way I try to tell people is to just Google Mike Handz. And if you got time to go through all 30 pages, you can catch me anywhere. Twitter, Facebook. I'm on the new platform Clubhouse now. You can find me pretty much anywhere. Instagram is probably the primary one, at Mike Handz. On Twitter, it's at The Real Mike Handz. Shout out Death Squad for sure. Shout out the Boot Camp Clique for sure. My whole Boot Camp family. Shout out my Black Market, my Sister McGrath family, my Whip family, DJ WizKid out in Germany, my Dead Poets out in Italy, my brothers down in Chile. One of my primary, two of my primary artists that do a lot of the artwork for me is my brother in Germany, Confused Art, who you need to follow at Confused Art. He's incredible. And then my brother in Brazil, that's mutation artwork on Instagram. Incredible individuals. My family, of course, my kids, my grandkids. Salute my team. That's the reason I work as hard as I do. Look out for my son, Lex King. He's about to drop February 5th. Ironically, he was trying to drop on my birthday, February 7th, and I was trying to drop on his March 14th, but the distributor wouldn't give either one of us the dates we wanted, so he's dropping March 5th, and I'm dropping March 12th. So I had no clue he was trying to drop on my birthday, and he had no clue I was trying to drop on his, so I think that was ironic. Definitely follow Lex King on Instagram as well. And we're just working, you know what I mean? Like, we're just out here trying to do the thing. Shout out everybody I've been working with, all my producers, Sickness, Salute, DJ Rec, who mixes most of my material, and Percy Wells out in next to them mixes the other half of my material. Salute those two guys, because without them, I wouldn't have the sound that I have when you guys get it. Run the Cover mixes a lot of my stuff that comes out of the Seismograph camp as well. That's pretty much what it is. My partner, Phantom of the Beat, a.k.a. Handz G from the UMCs. We have a label, Phantom Music, that we run together, and we also have a studio that we run, Party Flavors, out of Brooklyn. So salute the whole Party Flavors vibe. Sounds the Fifth, Phantom, Remy, Worldorama, Rhyme Record, that whole team. Salute them for holding us down. Big LSD. That's it, man. Like, I could go on forever with that. So my whole ESI family up in Canada, salute, and Outlaw Radio, of course.
And I gotta say, Mike, again, thank you so much for years of just years of amazing music. And because I gotta say, your music most definitely made a positive impact on my life growing up. So thank you for years of amazing music. And I'm looking forward to 2021 as well, because it sounds like 2021 is the year of Mike Handz.
That's gonna be the best one yet, because I have a second lease on life, right? So I spent 2021. 20 fighting to be here for 2021. So now that I've made it, I did all that work. Everything that you grew up on and everything that you listened to, I did that stick. Like, every bit of it. The touring, the recording, the performing, running the projects, design. Everything I was doing shit. My kidneys have been failing since 2008. So I was symptomatic the whole time. This is the first time I'm about to approach a year and my kidney is functioning at 100%.
And you know what? It sounds like Mike Handz' music career is back to 100% as well. I'm excited.
Well, I'm not sure what it is, but I know I'm going to give him what I got. And, I was honestly thinking about just maybe walking away. Like, I'm pretty much happy with all of the work that I've done thus far. So I was thinking maybe, I'll just leave it at that. And maybe I found the success that this game had for me. But I still got so much music that I didn't have. I feel like I owe it to the people that do follow and listen to me to at least give them everything I've ever done. So I'm going to get the rest of this out. If the fans dictate that I should stick around, I'm going to do that. If it doesn't get the response and the energy that I need, then maybe I'm comfortable walking away on this energy. But either way, you're going to get what I got.
And I gotta say, Mike, thank you so much again for taking the time out of your evening to come on my radio station. It was an honor and most definitely a privilege. But I gotta say, I hope you have a wonderful New Year, and most definitely hope down the line we can make this happen again.
Same to you. And listen, every time I drop something, all you got to do is reach out to MJ. You're in the network now, so you'll get updates with everybody else. If you see something dropping and you're interested, just tap in with MJ. She's probably going to have you listed as anybody that all the new material comes through. Whenever something new is dropping, by all means, just let me know. I'm here.
Most definitely. If you send it, I'm going to spin it, Mike.
Yeah, listen, that's a beautiful thing. What I want you to do, though, if you get a chance, go to my Bandcamp, MikeHandz.bandcamp. Go to the Bandcamp or go to my Instagram and just click the link in the bio. There's a COVID-48 mixtape that I did. Check it out. That's the only thing that dropped in 2020 because during the quarantine when it first started, I would go on IG Live and let the fans pick the song. They picked the instrumental. I would write and record the song during that IG Live. That collection of songs I put out as a mixtape. So it comes free when you buy a T-shirt or something like that. You get the free download. Check out that mixtape. You might find some things in there you like because it's all nothing but my favorite 90s beats that I used.
Hey, it sounds like a plan. I'll check that out the moment we get off the air here.
All righty.
Most definitely. Thank you so much, Mike, and most definitely have yourself a wonderful night.
Talk to you soon, King. Stay up. Outlaw Radio in the building. It's your boy Mike Handz. You already know how it goes down. Boot camp in the building. Death Squad is the click. We out of here.